You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
It only takes one step, twist, or crunch to know something doesn't feel right. Essentia Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team gets you back to doing what you love with commitment, resilience, intention. We're here to keep you moving forward. Visit essentiahealth.org to learn more about orthopedics and sports medicine, like nowhere else.
Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat writer at the Duluth News Tribune and the Rink Live.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of UMD Hockey on My Nine Sports.
Joining us on the podcast this week is a senior goaltender from the UMD men's program. He's in his first season at UMD after transferring here from Maine. Welcome to the podcast, Matthew Thiessen.
Thank you for having me.
And it's Matthew, right? You like to go by Matthew?
It doesn't matter. My mom likes Matthew. But
Your mom likes Matthew?
Yeah, that's the big part. But Matt works too. It doesn't really matter.
And I
to
instinctively
me.
call you Matt because I hated being called Matthew. It usually meant I was in like deep trouble or something from my mom or something.
It was the
like
last name that got me in trouble when you first got here with the TH at the beginning. It was a couple games in that you had played that before they told us it was Thiessen and not Thiessen.
Yeah, I guess I was supposed to write it on like the name chart at the start of the year, and I never did because I guess where I'm from, everyone usually like, kind of knows what it is because there's a bunch of last names like that from Manitoba. But maybe from now on, I'll remember to write that down on the name chart just to help you out.
Yeah, you've done well enough. We'll get it right from here on out.
Sorry I missed what was as close to as you'll get of a homecoming this weekend in Grand Forks. You guys were in at North Dakota this weekend, split the series there. We talked a lot last week about Cole Spicer returning home to Grand Forks. The talk of red pepper may have attributed to my illness, I think, over the weekend. But your hometown of Steinbach, Manitoba, am I pronouncing that right? Steinbach?
Yeah, Steinbach.
Steinbach?
Yeah.
Steinbach?
Pretty
All right.
Pretty close.
There we go. Just 2.5 hours north of Ralph Engelstad Arena. We had talked about, you and I had talked, I think that was in Colorado Springs. We talked a while. One of the reasons you came to UMD was to be closer to home. What was this past weekend like for you, getting in there at the Ralph and getting a chance to play what was basically a homecoming for you, as close to home as you're going to get until we start getting college hockey teams up in Manitoba?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. That was an awesome experience. I mean, I've never really gotten to play close to home, playing out in Hockey East and playing in Maine and stuff. So getting to go somewhere, actually my hometown's like literally probably an hour and 15 minutes away in Altona, Manitoba from actually going to the Ralph. So we always played in tournaments and stuff there as a little kid too. So it was honestly like a dream come true. Like coming in there, like you don't know where you're going to play or anything like that when you get to college, but going and watching games when I was a little kid and then going to play there and then have all my friends and family watching the games and stuff too was pretty surreal. It was a really cool feeling. And I, after the game, both games I went up just to see my family and stuff. And there was way more people there than I expected there to be, which is also really cool. So playing somewhere where all of your friends can come and see you for the first time in college hockey in my senior year is something that was pretty cool. I didn't think I'd really get the chance to with COVID, all that stuff happening, and also being out in Hockey East. But I was pretty fortunate on the opportunity, and they got to go see some of those games there. So now I said they had to come back down to Amsoil to see a home game and stuff too. So that was a really cool experience, and it was obviously really nice to see my family and friends and a bunch of different people there.
We had talked to Cole about this we had him come up to the Wednesday press conference and such. And there's a balancing act when you're playing that close to home. Can you take us through the process of getting tickets for that many family and friends? How many requests? Cole was dealing with like a mother load of course. That's not an easy rink to get a ticket into, Ralph Engelstad Arena. What's that process like for you guys when you get one of those games where you have more demand for tickets than you can get?
Honestly, for me, it was my parents and family came first. I think for everyone else that wanted tickets, I was like, it's going to be tough. And also, they were looking at tickets in November and December and stuff because, we knew there was going to be a lot of people there. So I was just kind of giving them the heads up, like, hey, like if you want to come to the game, like maybe go look for some tickets. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them all the tickets that they were asking for and stuff. But I tried to help them out as much as I can, and they also found some of their own tickets and stuff too. I think it'd be a little bit different if I was making money and stuff too, like playing professional hockey. But this still works out, and they're all able to still come. So that was something that was pretty special.
Did they buy tickets ahead of time, no matter if you were going to play or not? It worked out that you played the Friday night game, but were they going to be there no matter what?
I think that's how I kind of see who's my close friends and who isn't my close friends. The close ones are the ones that were buying tickets 2 months in advance, and the other ones weren't. But no, I was just joking aside. They all were planning on coming no matter what. So that was pretty cool that they just wanted to come see me and support me and stuff, no matter if I was going to play or if I wasn't going to play. So yeah, that's kind of how it worked out.
Did you follow North Dakota a lot when you were growing up? Was college hockey a thing, being so close to Grand Forks? Obviously, Cole being from Grand Forks and then being committed to North Dakota, it was kind of a game with a lot of meaning for him. But was it a game against kind of your childhood team as well, playing against North Dakota?
I guess a little bit. Like, I didn't follow college hockey that much until I started playing, like, probably junior hockey. Like, I didn't know too much about it, but I'd always gone to games and stuff. And I mean, when you go to games at that arena, it's usually pretty close to sold out, and there's a lot of people there. So that was something that was I had watched, and I hadn't really followed, but I'd seen different games and stuff, which was cool. But I guess once I started playing junior hockeys and getting into high school and getting really serious about hockey, then you're exploring all the options, and then you kind of remember those days where you're going to those college hockey games, and that inspired me to look a little bit more into that route. And that's ultimately what ended up making my decision is, like, I mean, going to those games, seeing other games. I also toured UMD when I was in, I think it was grade 10 or grade 11. We came down here on a school trip and actually got to play in Amsoil too. So when you're playing in two rinks like that, it's pretty cool, and it really piques your interest for going the college route. And ultimately, I'm really, really happy that I made that decision to go to school and to play in different colleges, and especially here at UMD.
You played junior hockey in Steinbach, and then Dubuque Fighting Saints, the USHL, before going to Maine for 3 seasons. How'd you end up in Maine all the way out there?
So one of the assistant coaches, who's actually the goalie coach at Maine, is from Manitoba. Okay. And so when he was a volunteer coach, he was back in Manitoba, and I was trying out for Team Manitoba. We played in this Western Challenge Cup. It's like the 4 provinces from Western Canada. We all play together in a tournament, and they do that. I think it's U16, so they do that every single year. So he actually ended up being our goalie coach for that. And at this time, he used to play at Maine. And also was now, like, kind of starting to work with them a little bit, like wasn't a full-time assistant coach yet. So I kind of built a relationship with him there and ended up making that team Manitoba, and he was the goalie coach for that team. So that's where the initial stuff started, but then I didn't talk to him for a couple of years. I'd see him here and there. But then when I was playing in Steinbach my first year, he started recruiting me, started talking to me, and I already had that previous relationship with him. So I think that was something that really kickstarted everything on the talks with Maine and going on the visit there, and ultimately committing there my first year in juniors and stuff. So it was a cool process. And I think when you have somebody from your home province, especially in college hockey, when there isn't like a crazy amount of people from Manitoba, that really brings you into like a different group, and was kind of something I really enjoyed and wanted to feel like it felt like home in a sense a little bit too. And also Maine, like, it's up in the north, it has all the trees, it has the wilderness and stuff, and that's something that I really enjoy as well.
What was the transfer process like from you then after being at Maine for 3 years, working with a coach that you had built a relationship with? What was that transfer process like, from letting the Black Bears know that you wanted to move on to eventually landing at UMD? Yeah,
I think it was something that obviously nobody really wants to go through or wants to happen, but the opportunity kind of came up for me, and I think it was time to make a change and stuff. And I mean, we had new coaches there my last year at Maine, and I mean, they were very honest with me, which was really nice about the whole situation. Like, we were honest with each other, and I think we knew what's right was going to be for me to move on. So once we come to that decision, they're really supportive of me. If I need any information, like, they were going to be there for me and stuff. So that was honestly really nice. Like, there's no bad blood or anything like that. And no, those people are still going to be people I hold near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life, for giving me that opportunity. So I think that was something that was really good. But after being in the portal for a little bit, you're just kind of waiting on different opportunities and kind of seeing what's up. And then I got a call from Duluth and from Adam Krause, and that kind of kickstarted the recruiting process to come to Duluth, and ultimately made that decision pretty quickly. And I mean, it's somewhere that was close to home. I mean, the program here has been awesome for the last 15 years. I mean, heard about Coach Sandy and everything, only good things about him. And yeah, I think it was a really easy decision for me to come to UMD after that.
One of the things about leaving Maine was maybe the the opportunities that were there for you. You didn't play a lot over your 3 years. Were typically in a backup role with the Black Bears, but then you come here. Zach Stejskal is coming back after what he went through last year. It's not like you were thrust into being the guy at UMD. You were going to be in a competition, and we've seen some rotation between you and Zach through this season. But what was it about UMD then that attracted you? It wasn't like, I'm going to come in here and play 36 games automatically. You're going to come in here and have to compete and earn your spot and maybe split games like you have. So what was it about UMD that was so attractive to you?
I think just when you see the championships and everything in the last number of years and the success that they've had, that's something that's really attractive to anyone. And especially like being in my last year, I only have 2 years of eligibility left. You want to really be on a team that has a chance every single year. And I think obviously we've wanted to do a little bit better and stuff this year. I think that's no surprise to anyone, but just having an opportunity to come to a team and also play in the NCHC, which is a great league, I think the best league in college, was something that was also really attractive. And I mean, the facilities at UMD, at Amsoil, the school and everything, I mean, that's also another thing too, is the schooling. You want to make sure that transitions well and stuff too. And the business school, which I transitioned right into at UMD, was also really, really good and really accommodating to me too, which is something that was really, really important when you're like in your last year of being in school and stuff. So that was something that was also, I kind of weighed all those options, but I mean, I think the biggest thing was the coaches here, and also having Brant Nicklin too, who's an unbelievable goalie coach and who has produced goalies to the next level so regularly and stuff. That's also something that's very attractive.
What's so good about Brant Nicklin? I mean, we talk about him all the time. We call it goaltender U, right? Is UMD with the string of good goaltenders that they've produced at college and then going on to the next level. But what is it about him and the way he works with you guys day in and day out that helps get the best out of you? Because that's what it's been. It seems like he's had a string of goalies that have played slightly different styles. Your style this year is different than that of Zach Stejskal. But it seems like Brant Nicklin's able to pull out whatever good is in a goalie and make it even better during their time here. So what is it? What does he whisper in your ears during the week that gets you so good on Friday and Saturdays?
I mean, it's nothing crazy. Like it's not groundbreaking. It's not changing our games or anything like that. It's not like reinventing the wheel. I think the biggest thing for us is just making those little adjustments that we need throughout the week on different teams that we're playing. Like you're going to play different depth. You're going to play a little bit different, not different style, because you're always going to play to your foundation as a goalie, but like reading on different teams and doing those drills and practicing and goalie skates throughout the week so we simulate and are ready for those games and what the team might bring on Friday and Saturday night. So I think that's something that he really focuses on with us throughout the week, but also just like changing different things like your post play and how you're positioned in different scenarios. Like it's not anything groundbreaking, but it's little things that make a huge difference, especially for a goalie. It's a position where you're not going out and you're not going to change a whole lot, and it kind of is how your body's built. That's what your foundation's on, and that's how you're going to continue to grow and succeed. And I think it's just like making those little adjustments in your foundation, and everyone's different too, from Zach Sandy to Stejskal to Stezzy to myself. We're all different in different ways, but he's been able to adapt and change little things in our game that have made a huge difference.
You're a 2018 7th round draft pick of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm wondering, when you're a draft pick and you decide you want to transfer, how much consultation do you have with that organization? And it's appropriate time we have a Vancouver Canucks draft pick on the podcast here. There's been a lot of turmoil in that organization over the last few years and the last couple weeks here. I'm wondering, how much input do they have, though, in the transfer process and maybe even in recruiting processes? What's your relationship like with the Canucks?
Honestly, they don't have too much of communication about that. I think they know that I'm going to do what's right for myself. And I talked to my advisor a little bit and people around me, different coaches that have been along the way that are really close to me, about what they think about the situation and stuff too. So honestly, Vancouver didn't have like too much to say. They're just like, hey, like try to go somewhere where you're going to play, somewhere where you're going to be successful. And I mean, ultimately, like make a decision that's based on you. So I think making those decisions is really nice to have that, where they trust what you're going to do in that process. But also I think a big thing was with my advisor too. Like he's been somebody that's been by my side for a long time and really knows me and knows, I mean, a bunch of different teams in college hockey and stuff too. So I think ultimately like the decision was up to me, and I think that's something that, yeah, it was really nice to have. But also, I mean, it didn't work out. It couldn't have worked out any better coming and playing in the NCHC and also playing somewhere that's a little bit closer to home and obviously having a great school and a great team. So
I found it interesting listening to you earlier when you're talking about the priorities for what you were looking for in a program. You brought up a program that's won championships. You brought up a school that fit you academically, that allowed you to continue your business major and everything like that. It was kind of last on the list when you started talking about chance to play and everything. Were there opportunities? Were there other, schools out there where you could have went to that maybe didn't fit the championship pedigree or academics that would have allowed you to play more? Because I think a lot of people would have looked at your career at Maine and went, and being an NHL draft pick, he's going to want to go somewhere where maybe he can be that number one guy and he can play, 30 games in a season and isn't possibly splitting, or, he potentially could end up as the backup to Stezzy or Zach Sandy or someone when you came in here. Were there opportunities to maybe be the guy?
Honestly, through the process, like, nobody's going to promise you anything. I think that's something for me, like, I didn't get to play like that much at Maine and stuff. Like, yeah, we had COVID issues and stuff, but it wasn't trending in the great direction for me there. So honestly, I just want to think of my mindset as wherever I'm going to go, I'm just going to battle as much as I can and compete every single day. And if something happens and if they need to call my number, I'm going to be ready every single night. And I think that's been something that has happened here, especially in the first semester. Like, I was going to be ready. I'm going to be ready whenever the opportunity arises. But I wouldn't say there was anyone out there that was promising me anything. So I was just going to go, honestly, to the place I thought was best for me. And I was going to come in there and work 110% every single day and give it my all.
What's that relationship been like between you and Zach Stejskal? You and I talked before the year in September about coming to a new program and having to get used to a new group of guys, new coaching staff, and also be in a battle where only one of you gets to play on any given night, unlike maybe forwards or defensemen where they can be in and out. They can be on a third line, a first line, things like that. And you and Stejskal have largely split time. Each have kind of gone on a streak of maybe some consecutive starts, and now you've kind of rotated since the holiday break or whatever. But what's that been like to get here, get to know him and Zach Sandy, and develop that relationship quickly? Because the backup goaltender, whoever it is on any given night, is an important role. And we've just had a good one in Ben Pat leave the program, who was, arguably one of the most beloved Bulldogs on the team, and played 2 games his entire career that counted. So what has that been like between the goaltender room this year?
I mean, it's been awesome. Coming into it, you never know what you're going to expect, and this transition happened really, really well for all of us. That's like the thing in our position. There's only one net. There's only be one person playing. But from, I guess, both of the Zachs, what Brant likes to call them, calls them both Zachs, and it gets a little confusing sometimes. But we built a relationship right from the get-go. And I think that's something that you need as a goalie, partnership and stuff. You need to support each other when you're not in the net, and you need to be ready to go at any single time. And when you're in the net, they want to support you. And I think we've done an awesome job of that. And those guys are 2 of the closest guys that I have on the team, just because we're with each other every single day. We like to do things outside of the rink together and stuff, from ice fishing to different stuff like that. Like, we like to have fun together. But I mean, building that tight-knit group is something that it's a little bit different than being players. You go through different things, you handle things a little bit differently because you are in a different position. But if you have that group that you can rely on and talk to about anything, that's something that's really important. And we're with each other. We're battling against each other every single day in practice. But at the end of the day, we're best friends, and we're always gonna be there for each other no matter who's playing in the net. So I think that's something that's been an awesome transition, and something that obviously I think all 3 of us really enjoy.
Who's the best ice fisherman among the goalie group?
Well, I guess that's pretty easy one to say. So I was out a couple weekends ago, and Stezzy and Millie came about 20 feet away from us and caught 8 fish. We caught none the entire day. So you could easily see who it is right now. It must be the Minnesota blood or something, but I'm gonna have to change something up.
Stejskal's he was the one pulling them all in, or Millimak?
Both of them were. I think they both got like 4 or 5 each. So they're splitting the efforts pretty good there.
Is Stejskal the best fisherman on the team? There's a history of the goalie being one of the top fishermen on this team.
I would say he's up there for sure. I mean, Darian Goetz he's a Hermantown guy. He knows the spots around here really well. So I'd also put him up there pretty high. But I mean, if you bring some people up to Manitoba, I think I could pull a few more out than I have been down here. So we'll have to see. Maybe I'll have to bring some of those guys up there on a fishing trip and see what happens.
Yeah, Stejskal and Goats, they got home ice advantage.
Yeah,
down here. You got to bring them up north to even things out. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Matthew Thiessen. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
Hey there, my name is Wyatt Buckner, and I'm the host of the Duluth News Tribune Minute Podcast. Hear the most important news of the day, including weather and sports from Duluth, Minnesota, and from around the Northland. Join me and my fellow reporters as we take you through the local news you need to start your day. Episodes are released Monday through Friday and are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Hi, I'm Maria Lockwood, a reporter with the Superior Telegram. Explore Superior and Douglas County history with me on Archive Dive, a monthly podcast available at superiortelegram.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They're proud to be the team physicians for the UMD Bulldogs and provide sports medicine care to more than 25,000 student athletes in the community to ensure they can compete at the highest levels while protecting their long-term health and athletic futures. Thanks to Essentia Health for their support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. I'm Matt Wellens, joined by my co-host Zach Schneider and our guest Matthew Thiessen. We talked about him before, and we're going to talk a little bit more about him, because he would never object to us talk. Brant Nicklin would never object to us talking more about him. Brant was one of the more cockier, confident goaltenders of his time at UMD. The NCAA just passed some legislation. They're going to allow college hockey teams to expand coaching staffs from 3 full-time coaches to 4. I think at a lot of schools, there's going to be an inclination to hopefully make the volunteer goaltending coach full-time. You had mentioned at Maine, the coach you had worked with was started as a volunteer before getting hired full-time. Give us a goalie's perspective. How important is it to have that full-time goaltending coach? How big would it be for the development of goaltenders in college hockey to have a coach that you can work with full-time? And I think Brant right now, even though he's a volunteer, basically puts in the hours of what would be a full-time coach minus recruiting duties.
Yeah, I think that's something that obviously if they're there all the time and stuff, you can break down stuff even more. Like, I mean, with video, that's something you can probably dive a little bit more into. When they're there all the time, they get those resources around them all the time. I mean, when you're working another job and stuff, it's pretty hard to do that sometimes because you have those other obligations. But I mean, doing that and also having them like with you, I mean, even like traveling on the road and stuff too, if you get that 1 or 2 extra goalie skates in, that could make a little bit of a difference for sure, especially for preparing for different weekends and stuff. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is like Brant, he still puts all of the time and effort in that we need for us to succeed and stuff, and he'll do anything that we need on a game night, on not a game night, weeknight. He's always there for us and stuff. So that's something that's, I think, is really crucial obviously in a college hockey setting. But if they would be like you said, with the new paid coach and stuff, you don't know what's going to happen. But if that would be the case and stuff, like it just gives you so many more resources and somebody to talk to, like even more and stuff.
Is Brant's biggest skill set, you think, with the X's and O's of the goaltender position and going over the nuances of each opponent that you have, or maybe the sports psychology part of it? Because we talked so often about a team taking on the identity or the personality of its head coach, and we see that with UMD. Each team, by the end of the year, kind of plays the game the way Scott Sandlin wants the game to be played. But goaltenders that have come and gone, by the end of their careers, seem to play the same kind of mental game and be super steady. We don't see games snowball out of control all that often from a goaltending perspective. So do you think that's helpful too with Brant, just to have somebody that can keep you steady throughout kind of the ups and downs of a college hockey season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, there is so many ups and downs throughout the whole course of the year, but how like mentally tough and stuff that he helps us like with our mental game and our focus and preparation. That's a big thing, is our preparation. You want to make sure that doesn't waver. That stays pretty much the same throughout the whole course of the year. For games, for practices, you want to make sure you're preparing the same, because you want to treat it the same. You want to be prepared for games like you are for practices and stuff. So that's something that he preaches, and he also wants us to be in those states that if a bad goal does go in, if any goal goes in, we're not wavering, we're not thinking about that, we move on to the next one. And we can break that down and stuff after the game, and some goalies like to do that during a TV timeout. Others want to do that after the game and not think about it. But being able to find different ways to battle through that, I think, is something that he's really worked on with us. And also we do that in practice. We practice those things in practice as well too, so we know how to handle it when we're playing in a game in a high pressure situation. So that's also something that he's been very, very helpful with.
You're on a team this year that doesn't score a ton of goals. They're not necessarily what we would call a high-powered offense. UMD traditionally hasn't had those types of offenses. It's been defensively structured first, and moving out from there, you win a lot of games 2-1 or 3-2. As goaltenders, how do you avoid putting too much pressure on yourselves to try to get a shutout or allow just one goal and just go out there and play and let the result kind of take care of itself? And we've seen this, through success. I mean, national championship years have been like this, where it feels like, okay, 1-2 or 1-3 is going to win this game when you're playing against UMD.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I'm just taking it almost next shot throughout the entire game. Like, you want to go in there and you want to give your team a chance to win. And if that's in a 1-0 game or if that's in a 6-5 game, you never know. You see lots of times in the NHL, I mean, there's games that were like 8-7 this year and stuff too. And as a goalie, you're going through that, and you might not be having your best night, but if you give your team a chance to win, that's something that's really important. I think that's something that we all as goalies pride ourselves on. So I think, honestly, you're just going in every game and you don't want to let in any goals. That's the main goal of the game, right, is to go in there and try to not let anything in. But, I mean, if 1 or 2 gets past you and whatever that happens, I think it's just moving on to the next shot, refocusing, and just going in there and trying to stop the next one. And, I mean, if you can do little things like going out and playing the puck and helping your defense and stuff too, that goes a long way. If those guys aren't getting hit, if you're able to move the puck and stuff back there. But also just like controlling rebounds, talking on the ice, being positive and stuff. All those little things go a long way, and I think those all help contribute to your team's success. So.
That's one thing Brant probably doesn't want you to do quite as much as he did in his career, which is go on those adventures playing the puck. He was all over the deck ice. I don't know if he shared the stories, but I was a fan back then. It was like, maybe you should stay near the crease area. Well, he liked getting out.
It was a little tighter there too.
Yeah, it was a smaller ice sheet. Yeah,
he'd say there's smaller ice sheet. He didn't have he had a tighter area there.
He had some adventures. So
I'll have to ask him a little bit.
Yeah, get him to tell you some stories. See if he's honest about it.
Yeah, ask him. Hey, I saw some highlights. You played the puck a lot. What do I have to do to you? Yeah. Some quick hits to close out this week's episode. Maine's Alfond Arena is a pretty unique place to play hockey. Zach and I were out there a few years ago. If you could bring one thing from Alfond to Amsoil Arena, what would it be?
It would have to be the overhanging student section. The students right over top of the opposing goalie is something that's pretty loud, and it's pretty cool. They don't have any of the glass in the way. It's just the students hanging over the goalie. I think that's something that's pretty cool, and I think I might bring that here.
One thing from the Orono Bangor area that you wish Duluth had?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. Orono Bangor area. Let's see. Maybe, is there smallmouth bass fishing around here? We had it right. We had like 5 minutes away from where we live.
This is where we miss Sam.
This is where we miss Sam Urkala. Well, no offense, Wyatt, but this is where we need Sam Urkala to chime in on the fishing.
I'm not a huge fisherman, but I've never gone smallmouth bass fishing around.
Okay. Well, then maybe whichever bass it is, there's a lot of really good bass fishing, like right in the town of Orono. So that was something that I might bring here. Even though there is good walleye fishing and stuff around here, that might not be the best answer, but
there could be. Somebody will let us know on Twitter if there is. Come on, Zach. I've never gone.
Chris Garner would be your Garnsey would be the other fishing expert.
Yeah. Or Scott Sandlin would know too.
Or I guess I could probably go with this answer too. It was like the ocean and stuff was right there, and also the mountain stuff. So that was pretty cool to go in Bar Harbor. You can look that up, but it's really beautiful around there. So that was something that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't get to do when the Bulldogs were out at Maine. We didn't get to venture outside the immediate area. Though a lot of Bulldog fans were exploring the state, which was pretty cool.
We did have lobster though. That was really
good. You have to when you're out there.
One thing Steinbach has that you wish Duluth had.
Oh, I wouldn't say Steinbach has a ton. Let's see. Oh boy, that's another tough one. Let's go with my grandparents' farm. Does that work?
Yeah.
Well, that was a long time ago, but I did enjoy going out there quite a bit. So,
what kind of farm did they have?
Towards the end, it was more of just a hobby farm, but they used to be chicken farmers. So they'd, I guess eggs and stuff. So they'd harvest the eggs and stuff and sell those. So
See, that's the one thing I do have knowledge of growing up in Wisconsin. I know about farming. Even though I wasn't a farmer, they make sure you know about it in Wisconsin schools. Bulldogs are down to 12 forwards at one point here in the season. You guys are back up to 13. If coach asked a goalie to move up to forward, which I know he'd never do, I joke with him all the time about it, but who among you and the Zacks would be the best option to go up and play a little forward?
We kind of talked about it because I don't know if you've seen, but Michigan had that goalie that was dressing for forward for a couple of games there earlier in the year. But I'd like to say myself, but I think Stejskal would probably say he'd be a good defensive defenseman, and I think Sandy would be a little bit more of a skill forward. So, I mean, I like to go stand in front of the net and try to tip some pucks, hopefully not save them, but. I'd like to say myself, but we'll go with Zach Sandy. I think he'd be more beneficial to the team.
He deserves some run too.
Yeah.
The third goalie, get him up there and let him play a little bit. So
best suited to take a penalty shot, and we'll throw Brant in here because I think Brant would say himself, based on again his career and love of playing the puck. Who among the goalie group, goalie or coach, would be best suited to take a penalty shot in a game?
Oh, I don't know if Brant's got the moves. Maybe he does because you're saying all these stories about him playing the puck, but I haven't really seen him like going on a breakaway ever before. But
he's not going on breakaways on you guys in practice.
No, I haven't seen any of those yet.
Okay.
But I think I have one pretty good move that I could pull out, and I have against littler goalies when I'm going on goalie coaching. So I think I got a move I could pull off.
You got a move you can pull off. All right. You faced them in practice. Your teammates. Who are the first three shooters you're picking in a shootout for the Bulldogs?
That would be Dom James, Quinn Olson, and I'm probably going to have to go with Steves.
Steves?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Does coach ever ask for input? Any of the coaches ask the goalies for input on shootouts?
Not really. Like in practice and stuff, they'll ask once in a while. Or I guess we've only been in one shootout this year.
Yeah, you've only been in one shootout.
Yeah, but I mean, if he has a list, definitely tell the coach what it is.
Last one, Matt. You mentioned you got another year of eligibility left. All you guys with COVID and everything makes everything so crazy. Do you know what you're doing for next year? Have you started thinking about next year and what you want to do, whether it's hockey-wise or even academically? Again, that's the thing I've liked hearing from you. Academics are also on your mind, even though you're an NHL draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't put too much thought into it right now. I'm just kind of taking it day by day right now with everything going on. But, I mean, whatever comes up, I mean, I'd love to come back here too, to go into my fifth year and also, see what school holds. I haven't really made a decision on what I'd want to do with that. But I think I'm in marketing right now, so also getting like a management or a sales bachelor degree would be something that's also, I think, beneficial and two things that I've enjoyed since being here. But ultimately, I haven't really made that decision official yet. But whatever happens. And I think if I would end up coming back here next year, which would be a great opportunity, I think that's something I really look forward to.
Awesome. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
The Bulldog Insider Podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and rate us. For more Bulldog hockey coverage, visit therinklive.com and DuluthNewsTribune.com. Doubleheader weekend at Amsoil Arena, Zach. The women host Minnesota in a pretty big series with pairwise implications. Maybe UMD can start putting some pressure on the top two teams in the WCHA title race. Meanwhile, Matthew here in the men, you guys host number 1 ranked St. Cloud State. They're also co-leading the NCHC with Denver off of a big series. What's the TV coverage look like this weekend?
We got all 4 of them. It's going to be a fun weekend. I think we had this one circled when the schedule came out, Minnesota and St. Cloud in town for the women and the men, but I don't know that we could have scripted it much bigger than it is on both sides of those for various reasons. So we got all 4 games, women both days at 3 o'clock, men both days at 7 on My 9 Sports. And on Saturday afternoon, little plug here for our Young Athletes Foundation Day at Amsoil Arena. Kids 14 and under for the women's game are free. Adult tickets are just $4. And we're doing a little kids race for the 14 and under kids before the game at 1:30 before the 3 o'clock puck drop. So bring your kids out, let them run around the rink a little bit, and then stay and watch a good hockey game. You got to buy those tickets and register your kids on our YAF Facebook page. There's a couple links there to do it. You cannot do it the day of the game, so do it before if you're planning on coming.
My wife and kid, Adele and Jack, are already signed up for it as well, so they're pretty stoked about that. We'll see if I can get Jack to run around the rink a few times and burn off some energy before the game or not. Thanks to our sponsor, Essential Health, for their support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast, and thanks again to all of you for listening. We'll catch you next week.